Well, good morning, Patriots.
Good morning.
Welcome to the 371st consecutive Friday meeting of the East Valley Red Friday Patriots. It's certainly great to have all of you guys here this morning to pay due respects to America's deployed warfighters. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Well, I certainly hope that everyone enjoyed a memorable Independence Day celebration, whether you got out of your house or not. There was certainly a lot of activity that was going around the country to ring in America 250. So whether you attended an Independence Day celebration in person or watched some of the festivities on the tube, there was a lot to make you proud of being an American. Hank and I were joined by Linda Langrock on the evening of the 4th. We drove over to the Apache Junction High School and parked in the south parking lot next to Superstition Shadows Park, where the city of Apache Junction hosts its annual 4th of July fireworks extravaganza. We sat out on our lawn chairs behind my vehicle and we had an excellent view of the entire spectacle. And a spectacle it was, Mayor. It was one of the best fireworks displays I've ever seen in person. Most fireworks displays have a mad minute at the very end where they shoot off jillions of aerial bombs. Nope, not at all, not at AJ. They had not one, but 3 mad minutes during the entire extravaganza. And we were absolutely very, very impressed, and we'll definitely go back next year for that spectacle. I was talking last night with Eric. Eric went over to Scottsdale, and he was telling me that their fireworks exhibit in Scottsdale was 400 drones that were doing all of the aerial. So that was even, and quite frankly, I think in the next few years, not very far away, that will be a Independence Day substitution for fireworks. And quite frankly, nothing would please me better, because I hate like hell to see China getting our money for all those fireworks. And every one of them come from China. By the way, I want to give a shout out to one of our Red Friday volunteers, Dennis O'Grady. Will you stand up, please? Now, I'm sure that you guys notice that early every Friday morning, Dennis arrives very early and he begins setting up the stage and the displays, and he also prepares all of the microphones that will be used for the meeting. So let's give Dennis a hooah. Well, during the past week or so, Dennis has been tasked with crafting some magnets that would be attached to rods to hang our Red Friday banners on the front of these tables. Well, it is my opinion that Dennis may have gone a little overboard, because he used some very powerful magnets for the project. And this morning, as I was walking in front of the stage, I felt something happening with my britches. And sure as hell, I looked down and my fly was unzipped. I backed up and the zipper closed. I walked forward and the zipper undone again. Dennis, you may have to rethink those magnets, my friend. By the way, I suggest that your next project be to hang a caution sign on the tables. Perchance someone with a pacemaker gets a little too close. We have some first-time guests I would like to take this opportunity to introduce. Elaine Caskey, will you stand, please? Elaine is the significant other of Marty Caskey. Marty Caskey has been a longtime participant in our R.E.D program. Unfortunately, Marty has not been with us for some time now, I think due to some surgical procedures he was recovering from. Elaine, thank you for joining us today, and we sincerely hope you'll bring him back again soon.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Also, we have Ryan Palmer. Ryan, will you stand, please? Ryan is, what is your relationship to Ken Anderson?
Just friends, doing some work for him at his house. Found out I was a veteran and invited me over here.
Well, I wouldn't get too close to that guy. When you do, he's going to start telling you some stories that'll raise the hair on your head. Now, Ryan is a United States Army veteran, and he served between the years of 2012 and 2016, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were a 13 Bravo. That's an artillery crewman.
Yes,
So
sir.
you were shooting the big cannons.
It was the 119ers.
Superb,
Yes.
superb. Do you miss it?
Yeah.
Should I rephrase that? Thank you for your service, and thank you for joining us today. We really hope you'll come again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We also have Matthew Bellafar. Tony Rea is his sponsor. Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong, but haven't you been here one time before, long ago?
Yeah, a while back when we did the IHOP.
That's been a long while ago.
Been a while, yeah. But I'm back.
You need re-recognition. Well, you have some type of relationship with Tony. What is that?
30, God, I forget. A lot, like probably 27, 28 years working together. I married his daughter Ann and gave him 6 grandkids. And so he keeps
Tony,
me around.
you didn't say that he was that prolific. Superb, superb. Now, do you live in the East Valley here?
I'm in Santan Valley.
In Santan, so you're close enough to continue to come back on Fridays.
Absolutely, yeah.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining
Yeah,
us today.
My hat goes off to every one of you. I have not served. My father was in the Korean War, but my hat goes off to every one of you who gave what you gave.
Thank you.
Every one of you.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Can I have a hoo-ah for these guests? You know, just a side note, if you were in attendance last Friday and you did not receive one of the America 250 lapel pins, please see me after we dismiss. We have a sufficient quantity for those that were in attendance last Friday. They were purchased only for those that would be in attendance on our Independence Day celebration. So see me after the meeting if you were here and did not get one of those. And there were only a very, very few people that did not. You know, last Friday, as part of our America 250 celebration, Kelly McDonald and Dee Hammond of the Apache Trail Chapter National Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, delivered an excellent and quite informative presentation on people of the Revolution. Well, today, Kelly is returning to share a story about a very, very special elite cadre of trained, highly skilled, and specialized United States Marine Corps personnel known as the Body Bearers. I think you'll find her presentation to be exceptionally informative. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Kelly McDonald.
Thank you. Yes, it's me again. So I know. I'm not speaking next week. That's the good news. Okay, last year I became aware of a very special group within the Marine Corps called the Body Bearers. You may not have heard of them, but I'll bet you might have seen them at one time or another. The body bearers are part of Company B at the Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C., and they perform one of the most solemn duties in the Corps, and that is carrying caskets of fallen Marines, veterans, and their family members at Arlington National Cemetery. They also participate in presidential, state, and joint service funerals and perform wreath-laying ceremonies. No other branch of service has a unit quite like the body bearers, and I'll explain why that is further on. So last month, I was in Washington, D.C. for a DAR event, and I had the opportunity to present an award to them from our chapter and for the entire state of Arizona, who was also in attendance there. And the award is called a Salute to Service. The Salute to Service is an ongoing effort to recognize our active duty military and personally thank them for their service. Now, the Daughters of the American Revolution have what they call committees, and those committees are where we do our service projects. In fact, the Service to Veterans Committee and Project Patriot Committee, which is where we recognize active duty service, is why we started coming to R.E.D in the first place. I'd like to take a moment and have you watch a brief video of the elite cadre of the world-famous Marine Corps body bearers. Yeah, every time I see that video, I want to go into my room and pick up my 5-pound barbells and start doing curls. I don't know. A little bit about where the Marine Corps body bearers live and reside. They are in Washington, D.C. at 8th and I, which is the oldest active post in the Marine Corps and is home of the Commandant, as well as home of the U.S. Marine Corps Band, also known as the official President's Own Band. The Commandant's House is the oldest standing public building in Washington, with the exception of the White House. It was built in 1806. I'm sure they've done some remodeling to the plumbing and so forth inside, but in 1820, Archibald Henderson moved into the Commandant's House and ushered in what we consider the new era of the Marine Corps history, transforming them into a modern group of elite warfighters and soldiers that we know today. Company B, located at Marine Barracks, plays a dual role in ceremonial and security missions with the National Capital Region. Company B's ceremonial duties include providing military funeral details at Arlington National Cemetery, which you saw a little bit about, conducting full honors arrivals at the Pentagon, participating in sunset and evening parades, and supporting a variety of joint service and state ceremonies. Additionally, they maintain readiness for contingency security missions, ensuring Marines are prepared to safeguard the nation's capital during times of civil disturbance or heightened security. Company B is also home, as we mentioned, to the Body Bearers section. What makes the Body Bearers unique is that it uses 6 pallbearers per casket, compared to 8 in other branches. And this highlights the unit's precision. The unit is roughly only a dozen Marines. So at any time, they have between 11 and 12 Marines, are always actively recruiting, but by definition, they are elite. The candidates must be male, between 70 and 76 inches tall, and hold the rank of corporal or below, and that those physical requirements are rigorous. Training can last 6 to 12 months, and I've heard them talk about the first 3 months, you're just in pain the entire time, focusing on both physical conditioning and the ceremonial precision that they require. This elite unit, though small in number, is comprised of hand-selected candidates who, through the crucible of body bearer ceremonial drill school, honed their minds and bodies to recreate themselves into members of this most elite funeral detail in the United States Armed Services. The primary mission section performed flawless funerals for Marines and Marine family members at Arlington National Cemetery and abroad, Additionally, the section is responsible for flawlessly executing other ceremonial commitments that include participating in presidential, state, and joint service funerals, manning the saluting battery of Marine Barracks, Washington, to render honors to dignitaries, and performing wreath-laying ceremonies across the capital region. If you talk to a body bearer, they will tell you the most important thing that they do is for the family. It is the most cherished and important entity for the body bearer section. Flawless funerals are the standard of the section to show the family the love and respect they have for the fallen Marines, and to honor that we take in being the last to let you down. Marines in ceremonial drill school will be required to demonstrate the character and resolve to progress through the strict training regimen, which actually never ends. They train as long as they're in the unit. And the bearing to keep one's composure, no matter what the circumstances. Once earning the black and gold uniform of a body bearer, as I mentioned, they continue to strength train on precision drills as well as performing duties on a daily basis. The list of minimum physical requirements potential candidates must meet are incredible. They must be able to pass the initial strength training test, and that is 225 pounds bench press, and it must touch their chest. 135 pounds behind the neck military press. Barbell must be even with the ears at the bottom position of the rep. 115 pounds strict straight barbell curl. Barbell must come above the nipple line at the top of the rep. And 315 pound barbell squat. Hips must be parallel or below parallel with the deck of the bottom of the rep. And they must do each of these perfectly for 10 reps. Yeah. What is not listed is the mental stress of what being a body bearer entails. And think about this. They attend funerals for their brothers and sisters and their grieving family every day. Serving as a body bearer is one of the most prestigious duties, and the unit lives its motto, the last to let you down. I'm so glad you let me share a little bit and tell you about this incredible unit. I want to thank you for your attention. I want to thank Dick for adding all the great visuals to this presentation. Thanks again.
Kelly, that was absolutely stellar and most informative. I doubt very seriously if anyone in this room realized that this particular unit was in existence. Very, very interesting, to say the least. Have you folks, have you ever given much thought as to exactly how the remains of fallen service members who died in a theater of operation are actually processed and transferred back to the homeland? What happens to those remains upon their arrival? Let's take a moment and listen to a song by American singer, songwriter, and musician Rodney Foster titled Angel Flight. While the dignified return of fallen service members is only one step in a series of events that will follow to prepare our fallen warriors for internment. Therefore, I want to share with you a brief insight into the events that take place prior to burial. Regardless of branch of service, all remains are ultimately directed to the Air Force Mortuary Affairs Operations, which is a component of the Quartermaster Corps located at Dover Air Force Base in Dover, Delaware. You know, the Quartermaster Corps has been responsible for the care of the dead since the Civil War. This mission, which used to be known as Graves Registration, has evolved to include not only the search and recovery of remains on the battlefield, but to respond to any mass fatality situation as well. Mortuary affairs specialists have deployed around the world to assist in such places as Bosnia, Somalia, Croatia, Middle East, Oklahoma City, Hurricane Andrew, Hurricane Katrina, and to support the earthquake efforts in Haiti to recover American citizens. It is at Dover, Mortuary Affairs Operations, located in the Charles C. Carlson Center for Mortuary Affairs. For simplicity, I will refer to the Air Force Mortuary Affairs Operations simply as Mortuary. With exception to the immediate families of the fallen, most people are unaware of the vital services provided by the mortuary, nor do most people have awareness of the painstaking efforts that the mortuary staff goes through in preparing the fallen for their final resting place. You can be assured that they do so with unparalleled and dedicated precision, with dignity, honor, and respect. The mortuary's mission is to maintain a highly trained and resilient total force team of professionals capable of fulfilling our nation's sacred commitment of ensuring dignity, honor, and respect to the fallen, while providing care, service, and support to their families across the Department of Defense enterprise. Their vision is to be the benchmark by which all mortuary affairs and honor guard procedures, programs, readiness, resiliency, and training are measured, while they are providing the utmost honors to those who have fallen in service to our nation. The Dover Mortuary not only serves as our nation's sole port mortuary in the continental U.S., but it is the largest mortuary in the Department of Defense. The mortuary is responsible for the dignified return of all DoD personnel and dependents from overseas locations and processing the remains of all deceased service members or DoD civilians supporting overseas contingency operations. The mortuary also processes remains which come to Dover Air Force Base at the direction of the Armed Forces Medical Examiner System. And when requested, the mortuary maintains contingency response capabilities in the event of homeland fatalities such as 9/11. In addition to Dover, there are 3 operating locations that have the responsibility to process remains in preparation for transport to Dover. And those operating locations are stationed at Ramstein Air Base in Germany, Hickam Field Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, and Yokota Air Base, Japan. The training of personnel for the job of Mortuary Affairs Specialists is conducted at the Joint Mortuary Affairs Center, Fort Lee, Virginia, where Mortuary Affairs Specialists from all branches of service train. Each branch has its own MOS. Let's view how these personnel train to retrieve the fallen, process, evacuate, and then prepare them for transport to Dover. Well, that's a good recruiting film. Anybody ready to sign up? You know, the Dover Mortuary has a support staff consisting of more than 85 civilian staff members and active duty soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, as well as National Guard and Reserve personnel. They have many community partners, which routinely include support from the 436th Airlift Wing at Dover, the Armed Forces Medical Examiner System, Joint Personnel Effects Depot, Fisher House, USO, and Friends of the Fallen, all working in harmony, all working in unison. The Dover Mortuary is a $30 million, 78,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility that opened back in November of 2003. And the facility replaced the 48-year-old Dover Port Mortuary that had been in use since 1955. And in addition to the operational facility, the mortuary manages the campus for the families of the fallen, which consists of three main areas: the Center for Families of the Fallen, the Fisher House for Families of the Fallen, and the Meditation Pavilion and surrounding gardens. The facilities are designed to provide families with an area of privacy, comfort, and support while they are at Dover Air Force Base to witness the dignified transfer of their loved one. Let's listen to the remarks of U.S. Air Force Colonel Daniel Mary, former Mortuary Affairs Operations Commander, Dover Air Force Base, about the services provided by the mortuary. Well, there's no doubt that the mortuary's uniform section has extraordinarily devoted personnel that meticulously prepare the uniforms for our fallen. Each branch of service has specialists that are dedicated to this task. Let's listen to one such dedicated staff member who has the responsibility of preparing the uniforms specifically for fallen Marines. This is U.S. Marine Corps Lance Corporal Landon Beatty. These service members, as you see, are totally committed to ensuring dignity, honor, respect, and they also want to provide the epitome of care, service, and support to the families of our fallen. So it is a career that few would actually request to train and qualify for. It's one of only a few military operational specialties that will authorize a service member to be reassigned if they so request. Understandably so. But as you heard in the videos just played, it is a job that has enormous personal rewards, and knowing that you've done your very best in exceeding the expectations of the fallen service members and their families for their final journey to their resting place. Every step of the way is carried out in an extraordinarily professional and dignified manner, from retrieving the fallen, processing, evacuating, and preparing them for transport to the mortuary at Dover Air Force Base, to actually receiving and transporting the remains to the mortuary, the final preparation of the bodies for interment, preparations of the uniform, and the rendering of care, service, and support for the families. So I'm sure that you would agree that we are indebted to this group for their honorable service to our fallen service members and their families. Can I have a hooah for this mortuary service? Thank you. Scott Jackson, will you please come forward? And also Pete Camper, will you please come forward? Folks, I want to introduce you to the recently installed commander of American Legion Apache Post 27. This is Scott Jackson. Scott, welcome to our group. Glad to have you here this morning. Scott is a United States Army and Army National Guard retiree who served with the 11th Armored Cavalry. If you ain't Cav, you ain't what? Who? And Scott enjoyed a long career in law enforcement, both in Oregon and in Arizona. Scott is no stranger to Post 27's executive management, where he has previously served as the second vice commander and as the post veteran service officer. Scott, congratulations on your election as commander. We want to wish you continued success in directing Post 27 to new heights. Scott, one of our distinguished Red Friday members who happens to be standing next to you, Pete Camper, has a nephew, Michael Camper, who resides in Wisconsin. And Michael handcrafts these very beautiful, solid hickory wood American flags with the inscription of the Pledge of Allegiance. Both Pete and his nephew Michael wish to present this astonishing crafted artwork to Post 27. We're confident that you'll find an appropriate place for its prominent display. Good job. Good job.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Scott, do you have any words of wisdom for our Red Friday group?
The last 2 weeks have been really hectic, but I hope to get in here on Fridays and get to know you all a little bit better and find out your mission and what you do and how we can assist. But give me some time to keep everything grounded and working right, and we'll get there.
Scott, I wish you all the success in managing the affairs of the Legion, my friend. I'm sure you've got your hands full.
Thank you much.
I do have a few announcements that I would like to make. Nancy last week announced the Christmas in July, which is an online auction that will go through the month of July, end on 31 July, so we only have limited a couple of 3 weeks remaining. There are some wonderful items on this auction site. Great opportunity for you to gather up some gifts that you may want to put away for this coming Christmas or Mother's Day next year or Thanksgiving or whatever it may be, or a birthday gift. But I would encourage you to go online and participating in this, because the funds are going to be going to the Arizona Veterans Honor Tour and to Race Across America. So it's an important component of fund drive for those two particular functions. We would appreciate your assistance on it. I will send out another email blast that gives you easy instructions on how to access that site and how to submit your bids. We have scheduled guest speakers to join us for the next 8 weeks. So I encourage you to come out on each Friday whenever possible and support these speakers. Next Friday, we have a very unique speaker that has a fabulous story to tell. You don't want to miss his presentation. So I encourage you to reschedule appointments that you may have for next Friday morning and join us. To our first-time guests, thank you for joining us today. We sincerely hope that you will return to share in our camaraderie and the support of our mission. Please know that you're always welcome at our Red Friday assemblies. And as a final reminder, let's not overlook the importance of our Red Friday mission to keep our deployed warfighters in our thoughts and prayers, and to continue to demonstrate our support for these fine men and women. Please keep in mind that it is patriotism that unites us. Enjoy your weekend.